Donald Trump's assault on our environment revved up into a whole new gear earlier this week with a new executive order and a preview of his upcoming budget and how that might affect some of the departments that deal with the environment. And all of this is aimed at removing some essential environmental protections currently protecting the U.S. public from pollutants in their water as well as other contaminants that have both national and international consequences. President Trump signed documents on Tuesday directing the EPA and the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers to review the Obama administration's Waters of the United States rule. In doing so, Trump said he is, quote, paving the way for the elimination of the rule. Now, the Waters of the United States rule has a complicated history, why it's actually necessary, but it has to do with what sorts of waterways and not just actual rivers and streams, but wetlands and things like that will be protected by other regulations and protections that the U.S. government and the EPA have. If you eliminate this, you're one step closer to getting rid of the Clean Water Act and doing far more harm to various waterways across the country. Now, the OMB put out this statement, by looking ahead and focusing on clean water, clean air, and other core responsibilities, rather than activities that are not required by law, the EPA will be able to effectively achieve its mission. Now, that is both a lie and horrifying. The lie is that they do not care about clean water or clean air, which is why they are already attacking the EPA's ability to protect those very things. But the second part is true. They wanted to focus on those things perhaps, but not the areas that they're not required by law, which they are going to attempt to argue means regulating carbon emissions and protecting us from the worst excesses of global climate change.
So I will try to simplify what is definitely a very complicated issue. The reason is you've got certain waterways that are clearly important and need to be protected in large rivers, etc. But then there are things that are less clear. Water sources that lead into the rivers, that sometimes lead into the rivers, but sometimes are dry. The things that are, is it a pond, is it a lake, and should it be protected? So now, and by the way, not all of them should be protected. Now, if you're an environmentalist, you've got to be thinking, really, Jake, that sounds crazy. Why? Because you can do overregulation. So if a farmer, a local farmer has got his cows, they're out in pasture there, and they're going to the bathroom near the small pond by their house, you don't need to regulate that. That water doesn't lead anywhere else, and that's overregulation if you do it. And there are some real small farmers that are complaining about some of Obama administration's rules. But they are not the main people complaining. That is, of course, the front that is put out there. The main people who are upset are the massive polluters who want to be able to pollute upstream. So that's just that's just the water supply up there. That's not, you don't have to worry about it because it's not part of the main water supply in the main river. But it leads into the main river. Yeah. So if you do massive pollution upstream, it's going to go into all our water. Well, I mean, overregulation. Yeah. Right? I mean, you're really going to regulate? I mean, where else would I put these pollutants? It would cost me a lot of money to move them. If I just dump them here in your river, you're going to regulate that now? Yeah. Yeah, that's what we need to regulate to make sure you don't do that. So it is a fine line sometimes. Now, do you think Trump is going to draw that fine line with your best interests in mind?
And by the way, you gave the perfect example. They do talk about those ponds. They do talk about that cows. But the problem there isn't the regulation of the pond. It's what is being regulated from going into it. You can still say the pond needs to be regulated, just not from piss. You can't pour 1,000 gallons of benzene into the pond. How about that? Or nuclear waste, or runoff from coal, like a coal mining. You can still piss in it if you want to. You just can't do all those things. How about that? That's a compromise.
And so now there's a lot of smart articles and experts talking about how, well, since these laws are so complicated, you have to adjudicate a lot of these bodies of water one at a time. It'll take years, and then you have to justify it and go through this process. So it'll take years for Scott Pruitt, who is in favor of allowing more pollution and what he would call less regulation, so that you can dump those toxins in those waterways. It'll take him years to be able to do this. My guess is no.
Knock out the whole thing all at once.
No, they're just going to say, I'm not going through that process. I now say you can do it. Yeah. And people will be outraged for half a day, and then Trump will tweet about something else, and they'll go squirrel, and you're going to try to figure out bodies of water and the kind of benzene you should and shouldn't put in. No, they're just going to steamroll you, dude. I remember all the folks who said, oh, at Standing Rock, There was an environmental impact statement. That takes years to do, and by law you must do it.
Killed it.
Yeah, and I said by law you have to do it because it is true. And they came in and they're like, oh, the law. It's so funny, the law. Right, environmental impact statement. Yeah, okay. You go ahead and drill right away.
Yeah.
And they just did it. And likely they'll do the same thing here. You can help hire investigative reporters that'll chase down stories no one else will. Be the media. tytnetwork.com/go.